What's up, people? Nice to meet you. Welcome to my course, $1 million real estate investment. I just want to say a few things before. Okay, my name is Joe Jacobs. I am a founder of 7 successful companies in the US. I have a lot of experience. I do look young. I'm only 41 years old, and I have 4 kids, beautiful 4 kids. Most of my life construction. I started from construction and then I went to real estate. I just want to say a few words before anything about real estate. Otherwise, you have to understand the foundation of this course and why I am asking you for $1 million. Which this is not the point of the course, the $1 million. That's not the point. Um, First of all, there's many people who do real estate. That's not a thing. You can go any street in the U.S., in Brooklyn, in New York, Los Angeles, Miami, everywhere. You'll see brokers everywhere. You'll see people who say they do real estate or don't do real estate everywhere. Everywhere you go. Every second guy in the U.S. today is either is a doctor or a real estate agent or a lawyer or a teacher, so or policeman or whatever. Um, but the point I'm trying to say is this: from my experience, from where I'm coming from, beside my personal stuff that I used to do all my life, raising my kids, having a family, um, being mentor to many people, helping the community and stuff like that. Beside that, I'm talking about my experience. I started, and that's not a lot of people who can say that. I started actually from construction. Uh, I didn't come from a rich family. I didn't come from a place that I can say, oh, okay, I can do whatever the fuck I want or I can do whatever I want. No. I came from a very good, sweet parents and family, very family oriented, very traditional. But I had to start from somewhere when I want to start, to make a little bit more money than the usual. It never was too important to me because for me always the kids and my wife was more important than money for sure. But I had to start from somewhere, and God guided me somehow. It's a long story. I'm not gonna say it right now. To a place to start construction, just to be a contractor. And that happened I'm 41 right now. That happened about 17, 18 years ago. I just got married. I didn't have any real money, and I had to do something that can make money. So I started as a really simple employer in construction company, which means I had to manage the work. I had to manage the job. I had to find out what the customers need and what we have to do.
Cut. Can you repeat that last sentence again?
And what we have to do.
No, the last sentence.
I forgot what
I
it was.
had to.
I had to focus on being in very simple, doing very simple jobs, very simple work. In the beginning, it was just simple jobs like repairing floors, doing a paint job. Then slowly, it was more complicated stuff in the house job, which means anything to do with home improvement. It took me time. I wasn't like the genius guy in the class, how we said it, the sharper guy. I was honest and just trying to make things happen. That's all. Trying to make a living for my wife and for my kids. It took time. Learning construction, it takes time. Some people I know take them 2 years, 3 years, but usually it takes 10 or 15 or 20 years to really know anything about construction and houses. And slowly, I started to do bigger jobs, which means instead of just doing floors or paint in a house, I started doing more like kitchen. Kitchen's very complicated stuff, and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it in the future of the course. There's jobs in the house very complicated. There's jobs in the house very easy. Everybody can do. Everybody can paint. Everybody can do the floor replacement. So we're going to talk about in the course those things. But what I'm trying to say is I didn't start as a broker. I didn't start as an investment. I didn't start with somebody that came with money and I had money and then I said, okay, let's gamble, let's buy, let's sell. I don't have the stories, those stories of those people that they just say, okay, I'm going to be success and they become success. That's not my story of my life at all. My story of my life is I have a lot of experience, a lot of hard working, a lot of blood I had to spill to get anywhere and to do anything. My competitions where I was in that time doing constructions was very high. Like I said, every other guy was a contractor, every other guy was a real estate. It wasn't easy. So I'll do it short. I don't wanna, what do you say, to make you sleep. You're probably tired anyway, so the point is I started very slow, the construction job, and I knew the houses. I started from basic houses. When I'm saying basic houses, I started with houses that worth from $200,000 in California to $2 million houses. And yeah, slowly I got to houses that I used to do construction and job and home improvement stuff. I even got to houses that worth $20 million in Hollywood, in West Hollywood, celebs and all those things. But everything took time. Everything took a lot of work. And this is what we want to talk about, how we started, what's the foundation. $1 million. People ask me all the time, you have the balls to ask for $1 million for a course? Yes, I do. Pay it? I don't think so. I don't know how you watch this video, what you did, or who you are, whatever. Thank you for watching my videos. The reason I can ask for $1 million is very simple. Besides my education, I have a philosophy academy certificate and degree. I have a law degree. I did many stuff. Beside that, the bottom line, the fact is, in the end of the day, I was running $1 million a month as a one person, one contractor, one guy. Every day, $1 million a month was easy, was the basic. That's where I started. After that, the construction stuff, I decided with some partners, I have some partners who help me, we're gonna go to the real estate, which means we're gonna buy houses, we're gonna flip it, we're gonna do some other shit. And that's what we did. So everybody told me, don't do a course that costs $1 million. First of all, my course doesn't cost $1 million. My video doesn't cost whatever. It costs whatever it is. But what comes with it, me personally, with you, together, doing the things we want to do, that's a different story. That's why I'm asking for that money. But forget about the money. I'm not asking for money right now. I just want you to be listening to me, take my information, and be happy. But what about to say is $1 million a month for a contractor, a small contractor, like if you live in California, you live in New York, you live wherever you are, this is not small money. Ask every contractor that you know, tell them, if I tell you have jobs in a month for $1 million, what are they going to say? They're going to say, I'm going to be happy like a motherfucker. I was there. It's hard work to do. You have to have many jobs to make $1 million. I'm not talking about profit. We're going to talk about profit, the growth in the course. I'm talking about generally to run $1 million in your bank account a month. You have to have at least 20 to 25, 15 jobs a month. That's not easy. Because if you want to have 10, 15, 20 jobs a month, As a contractor, you have to have this crew, the crew of people, the crew of workers. You have to have the managers on all those things. That's a big operation. Every contractor will tell you is going to be happy to run 100,000, 50,000, whatever, and that's why a lot of contractors, they're losing money, they're making money, they look drunk, they look alcoholic, they look fucked up, or whatever the fuck they are. There's a way, what I'm trying to tell you guys, there's a way to make money. There's a way to make money. Yes, there's a way to gamble, like you can make money from stock market, we're going to talk about it too. You can be a partner in a business, all kind of ways to make money. I find my way how to make money. It took me time, a lot of work. Sometimes I used to come home tired, I didn't eat all day, but I had this experience. I made it. There's another part of my life. It's the real estate himself. How do you buy real estate? What do you want to do with the real estate? You can buy and sell. You can do construction. You can improve the house. You can just rent it. I know people make millions from real estate. I know people lost millions from real estate. But it's the same thing about any other object, any other thing. I know lawyers that are millionaires. I know lawyers are fucking poor. I know lawyers that make $1 million a month. I know lawyers don't make $100,000 a year. I know doctors the same. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is this. My name is Joe Jacobs. I made my money from construction. I went to real estate. I have a law degree. I am mentoring and helping thousands of people. I helped thousands of people over the years. And my experience, that's the most important. My real experience. I told you what I already did. It's boring. In real estate, it's a different story. You can buy or run $10 million a year, but make nothing. You can run $10 million a year and make $5 million from the 10 million from the gross. Donald Trump is we all know him. I'm just giving an example. I'm not the election guy or whatever. I'm not a political guy. I don't care. Donald Trump is a good example. Yeah, times he made millions. Yeah, times he didn't have nothing. He had to go to the mafia and some other shit. So everything is complicated. In this course, I'm going to teach you how to do the construction right, how to do the real estate right, how to finance, how to manage, and how to do it right. To do it right. And it's not complicated. I mean, it's something we can do. It's something I can do, you can do, she can do, everybody can do every day. It's up to us. Doesn't matter if you have $100,000 available for investment, and it doesn't matter if you have $1 million. You still have to have the knowledge, the basic knowledge, to make it happen. Besides things that I'm just talking about myself, Joe Jacobs, who I am, that I have a law degree, I have a Jewish philosophy degree, and I used to teach. I'm still making music. I do a lot of things for fun, which is very important for the life. There's many things, very aspect important for your life to be successful. It's not about the money. If somebody thinks, oh, I'm gonna make money, 2 + 2 is 4, he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. You want to make money, you have to listen to everything. For example, you like to paint, you have to paint. You like to do sport, you have to do sport. You have to respect your family and invest in it. Everything important if you want to make money. Everything. Your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your parents are very important. Your family, your kids, everything important. If somebody says to me, oh, I'm gonna make money, I don't give a fuck about my parents, I don't care about my kids. No. You should care about everything, about your health, about your parents, first thing and the most important, about your kids, about your wife, about your girlfriend. there's a big puzzle how rich people become rich. Step by step, you're gonna make it. Questions everybody asking me: where should I invest? Let's say you have $1 million to invest. You heard them from your parents, $1 million, or maybe you have just $50,000. This is the first question every real estate people know. Every investor know. Where I invest, where I'm starting from. That can be simple. It can be complicated. Now, giving you many philosophies for 5, 7, 8 hours about where to invest and why to invest in this and that. But I will tell you my secrets the way I worked. Which means, if I have 100,000 or I have $1 million to invest, what you want to do is very simple. Very simple. Just clean your head, watch a good movie. The places you can invest with 100,000. With finance, without finance, doesn't matter. There's a place you can invest with 1 million or 10 million. What you want to do is, this is what I did. This is my secret. I knew I couldn't find a place. Like, how do I find a good place? I just saw a place that cost me, I'm talking about after 2008. 2008, everything was cheap. Houses in California that used to cost 20 million, people want to sell at 700,000 in Hollywood. Everybody was broke because the finance situation. In California, in many places, New York, many places, everything went down. Everybody was broke. Everybody lost their money. Everybody lost their houses. You can take an investor. You can take somebody. Are you going to take somebody like me, pay him $7,000 or $10,000 to tell him, okay, this is a good location, this is a bad location? No, I'll give you a secret, a very simple secret. If you want to invest in a place, it doesn't matter if you, like I said, if you have $100,000, $1 million, $2 million. If you want to look at a place, make it simple. I want to make it simple for you. Look in that house, around that location, there's a big companies developing or building or being exist. I'll give an example. Many of my businesses I did on cheap houses, not in $1 million houses. Most of the houses I bought and sell, I'm talking about more than 100, maybe even 200 houses that I bought and sell in a cheap in cheap houses. I don't want to use the word cheap, but very low price houses. Between my specialty was between $50,000 to $200,000 house. That's my average. This was my average bought and sell, 50,000 to 200,000. But I always say to myself, how I know if I'm investing in somewhere that something can happen and I'm gonna make money, it's worth it to do it or not? It's very simple. I'm just giving you the shortcut, and that's how you do it. Look if in this location of that house you're looking for. Let's say if your budget, I just want to talk about one budget. Let's say your budget is 100,000 cash. Look if there is big companies around that house. What I mean, look if there's McDonald's. Look if there's Burger King. In around that location. What I mean around that location, I'm talking about half mile or mile around. If you see those companies like McDonald's, Burger King, you name it, you know you're good. You know why? Because they already did their investigation. They know why they open a location in that place. So why you want to invest money when you already have this information? Just look if there's any big companies that developing or having a location, successful location in that place. Short your investigation, your money and everything. You don't have to invest money for somebody to, look at this, blah, blah, all this bullshit. No, just look, man. Just go. Simple. Just be simple. Keep it simple. You have $100,000 you want to invest in a house, With finance, without finance, doesn't matter. What matters is that a good location or not. If you see McDonald's, Burger King, Walmart, Target, or whatever big companies in that location, about a half mile, a mile, mile and a half the most, you know you're good. Write it down. Write it down. This is worth money. Write it down. After a lot of experience. The corner from the house that you want to buy and invest, just you know you're okay. There will not, none of those companies, they're billion-dollar companies, McDonald's, Burger King, all those companies, they're billion-dollar companies, they will not invest a penny before they do the investigation if it's worth it or not. If they already have this location over there around your house, Walmart, Target, all those big companies, if they have a location already there, you know you're good. That's a good sign. Is that 100%? No. Nothing I'm saying is 100%. Nothing I'm saying is 100%. Only God is 100%. I'm not 100%. I'm just a human being. I'm just telling you from my experience. So, when we're talking about where to invest, we want to see a place that really has development. It can be construction development or big companies like McDonald's, Burger King, and those kind of things. So everybody says, what's the location? Location. We spoke about it. You don't know location. What location? I saw locations that worth 50,000 and went to 500,000. I saw location from 500,000 went to zero and everything. So the best way to see locations, look at the big companies around. We already said that. I'm going to say it again. Look if there's a big companies around. McDonald's, Burger King, Target, Walmart, and so on. Real estate. What I want to do with real estate? Do I want to buy and sell? Do I want to buy and rent? What I want to do in real estate? There's so many things you can do in real estate. You can buy a store like in a commercial thing and rent it. Commercial unit, whatever. You can buy a old building. You can buy a private home. There's so many things to do. So this is very important, this subject. What do I want if I want to go to real estate? Okay, let's decide that me and you, I'm going to be your friend, your mentor, whatever you want. We want to go to real estate. We decide we want to go to real estate. We have $500,000, $1 million, $2 million. We decide we want to go to real estate. Okay, what do you want to do in real estate? There's so many things you can do in real estate. You can buy commercials, real estate. You can buy storage unit. You can buy private homes, which is another, or you can buy a building. And you can buy anything of those to make a flip, which is fine. Or you can buy those things to make a rent, which is a monthly income. This is a very, very basic question before we even do anything. Don't call me before you make a decision about it. Don't call me. $1 million, $2 million, or $20 million. The first thing is we know locations, how to find locations. The question is, what we want to do with the money. Do we want to invest $1 million? For example, I can invest $1 million, right, in a house in Los Angeles. I can invest $1 million in Los Angeles, in Orange County. I don't know if you know this place. Orange County, it's a county around LA. It's 20 minutes from LA, 30 minutes from LA. Beautiful place. Fine. I invest $1 million, and I'm gonna rent the house. How much I'm gonna make? If I put $1 million in Orange County right now, probably $3,000 a month, $4,000, $5,000 the most rent. How much is $5,000 from $1 million? It's 5%. Is 5% enough for me? To stuck my $1 million in one house? I have to stuck $1 million. Doesn't matter if maybe you get it in finance. Still, doesn't matter. Even with finance, you put $1 million in a house, and you looking for the rent. That's one way to do it, which is not, I'm not saying no, I'm just saying it's an option. You put $1 million in a house with a finance or whatever, You get your 5%, which is $5,000, $4,000 a month, which is 100, which is 5,000 times 12. It's 60 or whatever it is a year. Or or maybe we want something else. Maybe we want to go to a restaurant and put $1,000,000, and you're gonna make instead of $60,000 a year, you're gonna make $60,000 a year. It's 6%. Or you can make from a restaurant 30% a year. You want to take the $1,000,000 and maybe invest in the house, invest in the $1,000,000, and make from the $1,000,000 after 1 year after construction. Everything else you can make 1.5 million, maybe 1,200,000. Now I'm not gonna give you the answers. Remember, I'm just gonna give you the information. What's good for you, that's what's good for you. Whoever wants my help, I'm here. But I'm not gonna tell you what to do. Some people, they want the rent. That's it. They want to put $1,000,000, they're gonna get the rent income, that's it. How much the rent income depends where they invest. Some places, if you put $1,000,000, you're gonna get back a year $40,000, which is about 4%. Some places, if you put $1,000,000, you're gonna get 60,000, which is 6% a year. That's good. But maybe you want something different. Maybe you want to put $1,000,000 for the house, and then you can put another 200,000 for the construction, and then you get 1.5 million. So this is very basic question. What do you want? What you really want? What you really feel comfortable? And that's the most important question. What you really feel comfortable? I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm telling you there's the options to just get rent. This is my course. To give you the information, to give you the options. Not to tell you what to do. Tell you what to do is God telling you, or your priest, or your rabbi, or your friend, or your girlfriend, or your wife, or whatever. That this is the people, or many friends that love you, or consulting people. They're gonna tell you what to do. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm giving you information. You can have $1,000,000 and make after a year 200,000. You can put $1,000,000 and make after a year 6%. But after a year, you're gonna make another 6% because you still have the property. I want to talk about those subjects. Okay. There's two. It's two different directions. That's what I want you to know. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying. It's two different directions. If you buy the house, any house, good location, with $1,000,000, okay, to flip it, that's how we call in our business, flipping it. That's one thing. That's one direction. What you're looking for, it's one thing. To get rent and income from it, it's a different direction. You talk about a lot of things, right? It's like you're saying, I want to buy a car, a fast car. If you want a fast car, it's one thing. If you want a comfortable car, it's a different thing. It's a different car. It's not coming together. So if I want to invest, guys, listen to this. If I want to invest for a house to flip, you have to tell me that, or tell your friend, or tell whatever you have been consulting with, this is what I want to do. I have $1,000,000, this is what I want to do. I want to flip it. Or I have $100,000, that's what I want to do. It's fine. If you want an income, that's a different story. If we have finance, we have finance. It depends on your credit. We know we want to talk about locations. Location, what the location you want to. And now we are in the decision that we have to make. Do we want to flip house or we want to rent the house? If I want to flip a house, we're going to talk about what the things we want to do. If I want to rent a house, it's different things. First, right now, about the renting house. When you talk about renting a house, what you want to do is you want to find a place, a house, that will give you income. Okay. So I remember in 2008, after the crazy stuff that happened in the U.S., find houses for 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, for example. So let's get a number. You were able to get a house for $200,000 that used to cost $500,000. But because of whatever happened in 2008, if you don't know what it is, just Google it. 2008 real estate thing. $200,000 house and rented. I'm talking about rent right now. If our decision together is that you want a income every month and you want to go for rent, we're gonna do it. I'm gonna talk just about rent right now in this episode. $100,000 for a house. I'm just giving an example. After 2008, let's say 2010, 2011, 13, 14, 15, 16, you were able to rent houses all over the US that you bought. You got it for 200,000. You were able to rent it for $1,000 a month, sometimes 15,000, 1,500 a month, and sometimes even 2,000 a month. So let's say we were smart then, which is not happening right now. Maybe it's gonna happen again, by the way. Everybody talking about Biden or Trump or election or whatever. Everything can happen again. But let's talk about what happened in history. History is a lot of information that we need to know. So let's say you bought a house for 200,000. Okay, fine. And let's say you were able to rent that house for 2,000 a month. That was possible back then. What does that mean? It means you spend 200,000 and you renting it for 2,000. It means you're making a year 24 gross. I'm talking about gross, 24,000 a year. $24,000 out of 200,000 in percentage. It means you made. Now, the information I'm trying to tell you is just for you to understand. It's not something that you really can understand until you do it. But I'll give you the information and you do whatever you think to do. If you spend $200,000 in 2011 in a house in Vegas, which is good, and you're making $2,000 rent, it's $24,000 a year. How much you got from this $24,000 a year? Let's say you do this deal, which is a credible deal. Put $2,000, you get 24,000 back a year gross. It's beautiful on the paper. But let's see on the real numbers. Okay, so you put $2,000, you got back 24 that a year. Let's see your expenses from this 24. What do you think? How much is the expenses? Very quick. Yeah, on the house. For a house that costs 200,000 in Vegas, in that time, you're probably gonna pay taxes about a year, about $3,000-4,000 a year, something like that. A year, or maybe 2,500, something like that. You're already between about $3,000 a year. Then you have and this is very important. You want to rent it, right? Then you have the person who's there. He's gonna pay the rent. Let's say he's paying the rent. Those expenses from the 24,000 we spoke about, you have many expenses besides the taxes of the house. I mean the city taxes, the state taxes. You have more expenses. What about if there's something happened to the house? There's plumbing you need, electric something get bad, or anything like that. You still have to pay. From the 24,000, the average if you got really the 24,000, let's say the guy paid you everything. 1,000, if you gonna be ending with 15,000 in the end of the, if you're gonna be end 15,000 in the end yourself from 24,000 a year in 15,000 income for 200,000, you made a great deal. What's the problem now? There's many problems of what I said. Everything I said is a problem. Every point for the last 5 minutes was a problem. I'll tell you what it is. One, you cannot find houses in a good location for 200,000. This is the first problem. The second problem, if you did get a house for 200,000, you're not going to be paid 2,000 a month in this location. Change. The examples I gave you is that something happened in 2008, 2009, 2010, 11, 12, 13. You were able to get for $200,000 in Vegas, in Miami, in Michigan, many places. You were able to get houses for 200,000 and able to get about 2,000 rent. But that's a dream. You can get rent about 1,500 in many places in the US. In many places, I can find you places in Vegas like that easily for 200,000. You get 1,500 return a month. I can get you places in Michigan, in Detroit, in Miami, some places. I can get you places in New York, some places. There's Connecticut. There's places you can get $1,500 a month from 200. How much is it a year? 1,500 times 10, it's 15,000. Another 2 months, we have 18,000 a year for 200,000. But remember, 18,000 you're gonna get a year. If the guy, let's say the guy pay you the rent and everything is good, is going well, you have expenses. You have the taxes. You have the construction stuff, or problems in the house and stuff like that you have to take care of. Point I want to say about buying house to rent. Remember, you can find houses for good prices and for good rent, good income. You have to remember, you will have expenses. What's your expenses if there's a problem in the house and stuff like that. Now, it's another thing is, you can buy houses for good prices and sometimes you have to do construction in the house. There's many times that happened to me. I bought a house for 200,000, then I have to put the construction another 50,000. So how much the house cost me? Not 200,000. I bought it for 200,000. But how much I put in it? Another 50,000 for paint, for new kitchen, for whatever. That makes the whole picture different. So when you buy a house and you want to invest to get income, static income because of the rent, you have to also calculate the construction you have to do when you buy it. And most of the time, 80-90% of the time, you will have to put money in the house. What you do have to look before you buy the house, that's a different story. But even if the house is in good condition and you have to put some money in it, you have to make the calculation. Because there's a big difference if you put 200,000 in a house or 250. It's another 50,000. Doesn't matter if it's finance or your parents pay it or your mother or you rob a bank. Doesn't matter. You still have to put the difference to make the house capable of getting this rent. Sometimes, many times, if you're not going to pay the money for the construction and paint and paint and rent and clean the house and do things that you're not going to be able even to rent it. Buy a house because you want a basic income, a stable income in your life. That's a fine thing. But make sure you make the right calculation. Make sure you know how much the house is really worth. Make sure you know how much the construction will worth. I don't even talk about right now. I will talk about it later. What you have to look when you buy a house. What the things you have to be that's gonna fuck you up. There's many things that when you buy a house, no matter what you're gonna do, you're gonna lose money. But let's say you buy a good house, always make this calculation. How much the house cost you? Make sure this location is good as we spoke about it before. I gave you some secrets how to do it. There's many secrets. I gave you some. Whoever wants my personal advice, you will get that as of the course. Now you're getting the videos and you're getting my personal attention. Yeah, you got the house for a good price and you don't pay too much for the construction, and then you make the calculation how much the rent is. If you get 5% a year, it doesn't make it too much success. Usually, a good success in real estate is going to be between 5% is good, it's going to be start good, but you want to be about 7, 8, 9% a year, which means if you invest $1 million for a house, you want to make sure you get back about 5, 6, 7, 8% a year, stable. Otherwise, why you want to invest? Otherwise, there's many places you can put the $1 million and get the money back. But when you want to be a owner of renting house, another thing you have to think about, another profit most of the people don't think about. When you buy a house, let's say we spoke about $1 million, and you did get 7% back, which is a good profit, which is a good back income. 7% a year for $1 million. How much is it? $70,000 a year. That's fine. So you bought a house for $1 million with the finance or whatever, with the help of your parents, with the help of your husband, your wife. You bought a house for $1 million. You're getting back rent every year, $70,000. You're expensive on the house with the taxes, with other stuff you don't even know right now until you do it. Your expensive is going to be from 70. You'll get a total about 50. Fine. 50,000 is about 5%. Another things you have to make into consideration is the value of the house. Many times, if you put $1 million, after 3 years, it's going to be worth $1.5 million. So that's another profit you can get. So not only you profiting from the rent when you do rent program, you're also getting money from the value of the house himself. Now, am I a prophet? No, I'm not a prophet. Nobody can tell you what's going to be in the future. But it's something you can take into consideration. In many places, I know people who bought a house for $50,000 and they sold for $200,000. Bought the house for $300,000 and they sold for $300,000. So there's two things. There's two things to make consideration when you buy a house that you want to get a stable income. One consideration is to really know your expenses, which means if you put $1 million in a house and you got $70,000 in the end of the year, you should know probably your expenses on that house will be between $10,000 to $20,000 a year. That maybe after 3 years of this house that you put $1 million, it might worth, instead of $1 million, $200,000, $300,000, and stuff like that. Do I know what's gonna happen? No. I will never go for that because I don't know. I will never know. All I know is what I have right now. What I have right now is a house that costs $1 million, and I know this house will give me gross income $70,000. That's all I know right now. And this is how you make decision. What's gonna happen in the future? You might be able to sell it for $1.5 million. You might be able to sell it for $2 million. That's fine. But it might go down. Like 2008, everything went down. Houses that worth $1 million went to $100,000 and $200,000 instead of $1 million. So that's how people lost their houses and their businesses and everything. They spent their houses. They were mortgaged for $1 million, and then the house worth 200,000. They lost 800,000. That was terrible. You're probably too young or too old, I don't know. But I was there, I saw it. Millionaires, they worth on the paper $10 million, and then they worth because of the recession, because of the not a recession, it wasn't a recession, it was more a mortgage clap. They were worth 700,000. So how much money they lost on the bank? They owe 10 million. What they worth actually was 800,000. If you decide with your wife, yourself, that you want to be owner of many properties and just get rent, that's fine. Just make the right calculation. The right calculation is make sure few things, and I'm going to say it right now, and I'm going to say it again and again all over the course, all over the paper, all over the video. Make sure you get the house or whatever you're buying, the commercial property, the house, the building, whatever, in the right price. This is the most important thing. Get the property in the right house. And I'll talk about in a minute how we're getting in the right price. Get in the right price, which means if the house worth $1 million, you should pay $1 million. You shouldn't pay $1.5 million or $1.2 million. You should pay the right price, because if you pay more than what it is, then you already lost. If you got the house that worth $1 million and you pay $1,100,000 more, I mean you pay $100,000 more, you already lost $100,000. So the most important is when you make a decision, even if you want to rent it. I'm talking about renting right now, not flipping. Flipping is a different story. We're going to talk about it in a second. I'm talking about if you want to be a person that have 100 houses when it comes to an age of 40. That's possible. I saw people do that. I did it. Many people did it. You have to make sure every property you buy it in the right price, and even if you're more lucky or more smart, getting it in even lower price than what's really worth. That's one thing you have to make sure. After you make sure that you got it in the right price, you have to make sure the construction or whatever has to be done in the house, because every house has to be something done. You have to make sure that you still don't pay too much and you're still going to be able to make a profit from the rent. $1 million in a house, and the construction in the house or building will cost you $500,000, and you getting rent $70,000, it's big difference. Or if you get $1 million, 100,000, it's million. Everything make a difference. Every rent you calculate, you have to make the math of the expenses you have. That's the point of this point right now, of this chapter right now, of my course. Rent you get, you have to make sure you make the calculation. Is it $70,000, $50,000 a year? I'm not getting into details. $20,000 a year, it's fine. Make sure you know from $20,000 you have to deduct taxes and the house expenses. And there is expenses on the house. Have to remember, guys, there's a big difference if you're investing in houses, in locations that the house worth a lot of money, like $400,000 or $500,000. I'm starting from this price, $400,000 or $500,000 a house to $1 million, $2 million, or you're going to locations that the house is worth $100,000 or $200,000. What's the difference? You're going to say, what's the difference? Locations and places that the house worth 400,000, 500,000 minimum, I'm talking about, to $1 million, $2 million, whatever, $3, $4 million. the chance you're gonna get the rent and the people you're gonna get into this house, more quality, less problems, everything should work much better. When you invest in locations and places, which I did a lot. I have hundreds of houses. I did, and I have many experience with that in Detroit, in Michigan, in Vegas, in many places, in New Jersey. When you go into houses that it's what you call a cheap or very low price, yeah, you will get a good price for the house, $100,000 house, $200,000, but the chance you will have a problem with the tenant or with the management company, and we didn't talk about management company yet. We're going to talk about it's another chapter. The chance you can have a problem is 100% different. This rule, what I'm telling you right now, the higher you go with your investment, the chance you have a problem with the tenant and the management company is low. The lower you go with the investment, doesn't matter, it's 200, 300, I'm talking about usually below 400, 300, below that price, you will have more problem with the tenants. This is how it works. You pay high, $1 million, $2 million of a house, the tenant's gonna be better. High quality, better credit and everything. You pay low for the investment of renting, of stable rent income. You pay low for it, the chance that you have a problem with the tenants and with the management company, it's higher. So people ask what to do. Should I go for $1 million house or should I go for a $200,000 house? What do you think, guys? Say it again. If you pay a high price for a house, doesn't matter where it is in America, as higher you go, the better percentage the tenant's gonna be better. If you go for $1 million house, most of the producing logic, the tenant's gonna be better. Go for a low house, low income, for $200,000, $300,000, $100,000 house, then most of the chance you're gonna have a problem with the tenant. And bring you another point, the management company. So everything connects to each other, and remember, all we speak about in the last few chapters, it's about people who wants to rent the house. Flip it's a different story. We're talking about people who wants to buy houses to get the rent. And I'm trying to cover all the subject. I'm trying to cover people who wants to buy for $100,000. I'm trying to cover the subject about people who wants to buy for $1 million. Okay, so I said one rule: if you buy for $1 million, the most chance or the percentage is going to be that you're going to be okay with the tenant. And another point is very important that I didn't bring it up before, is the management company. Management company, when it comes to rent and get stable income and get a stable somebody to take care of the house, it's very important. And I'm going to talk about it right now. So when I want, me, Joe Jacobs, I want to invest in a house to get stable income. I have $1 million. I want, very important, what's the management company is going to be. There's two things that's very important for me always when it comes to buying a house or houses or building. It's two main things that I have to make a decision before I do it. There's basically three. I'm going to say it right now. The first thing is important when I want to do it, when I want to buy for investment and get my income, like every month, every year, for a long time. We call it this, long-term relationship. I'm looking for three things. One, I want to buy the property. It doesn't matter if it's a condo or apartment or house or building. I want to buy for the right price, first. Second, I want to know that the tenants going to be there are quality tenants. If they're not quality, I have a problem. They can be here for 6, 7 months and not pay rent. They can be here for 2 years and not pay rent, and that's make my expenses much higher. And the third, the management company. The more that my house more expensive and more in a nice place, a good place, management will be good. To places that house worth $200,000, $100,000, mostly and like the management company will be a problem with two. So I don't have one problem, just a tenant. This is something everybody should know. When I go for low property, low income property, low property, I don't have only problem with the tenants. I have a problem with the management companies too. I'll tell you what's the problem is. It's very simple. Most of the investors, maybe you too. So if you do the job, let's put it this way. If you do the job yourself, you buying the house, you renting it, fine. You did everything yourself. But most of the cases, everybody who's buying a house wants a management company that they're gonna take care of the utilities and everything else, and they can take care of the rent. This is most of the cases, including me. Okay, so if I bought a house for $1 million, okay, in a good location in Los Angeles, in Pico Boulevard, I don't know, somewhere like that. I bought the house for $1 million. I can rent the house for $2,000. Then I get a management company to take care of it, which is fine. The management company will be okay. Why? Because my location is good, the tenants are okay, and the management company, they making money from the $2,000. How much they make from $2,000? Management companies, and we talk about right now about management companies. Usually, management companies they're renting your house and taking care of you or whatever, they're taking 10%. Some management companies taking even 15%, which is fine. I have no problem with it. It's okay for management companies for real estate to take 15%, even 20% if they do a good job. I have no problem with it. They should be okay. But let's make the math. Let's make the math together. I have a house for $1 million. I'm renting it for $2,000 a month. How much is it a year? 2,000 times 24. If they take 10% for 64,000, how much is it? 6,400. Management company have from 64,000. If they have 10%, I'm not talking about 15%. Even if you have only 10% from 64,000 a year, they're taking from the top. So they're taking $6,400 a year. Houses like that, how much is that? Let's make the math. 6,000. If they have 100 houses, not 100, 50, we said 50. If they have 50 houses times 64,000 is 6. Make it to a half. It's 320,000 a year from 50 houses. 50 houses that make 6,400 a year. It's 320,000. This is something a management company can work with. They can be alive. They have the workers, they have the secretary, they have all kind of expenses. Management company have a lot of expenses. But this is good to go when we're talking about the high hand investment. $1 million, $800,000, whatever. When we go for the low expenses, which means houses you bought for $200,000 and people pay you $1,000, make the math. What I'm trying to say is, I'll make it short because probably some people lost me, and which is fine. If it's low and you pay low, the rent is going to be low, the management is going to be low, and they don't have money to work with. If the management company don't make money, and remember, 50 houses to manage is a lot. even 100,000 or 20. It's a lot of work. Don't think it's easy. If the management company don't make money, what do you think they're gonna do? You know what they're gonna do? And that's a big issue. It's one of the biggest issues with management companies. I'm not against them. I love them. I used to work as a management company. I know what it is. Nobody wants to steal from nobody. Trust me. But if a management company don't make money, what are they gonna do? They're gonna come to the owner and say, "Listen, we have a problem here. We have a problem with that." They're gonna charge you every month. They're gonna find something to charge you. They have no choice. I'm a management company, okay? My name is Joe Jacobs. I'm the management company. I have 100 houses, okay? 100. It's beautiful. 100 houses. I manage 100 apartment, 100. Beautiful. Every house bring rent $1,000. How much is it? Gross income? 100,000 a month. How much I got? 10,000. From 100,000, I got 10,000. Let's say if everything worked well, there's no problems, everything is well, there's no problems in the house, there's no problem with nothing. You have some money, you want to get income, you can do it. Just be smart. Buy the property in the right price. Make sure the tenants will be able to pay. There's many ways to do it with the credit check and other stuff. And then good management company. Management company, it's not in a good place, not in a good location. Most cases, they're gonna come to you after, not in the first month. Most of the chance, they're gonna come to you after 3-4 months and tell you there was a problem there, a plumbing problem, so they're gonna charge you instead of $50 or $150, $500. That's how they make the money. You have to be in their shoes to know if they're good or not. If you have a management company and you have 100 houses and there's $1,000 income from rent every month, and they take 10%, it's $10,000 a month. To know this is nothing. $10,000 a month for a management company is nothing. The only way they can really make money is if they extend their expense and whatever. How they do it? They do it by saying, listen, there was a problem. Maybe there was a problem. They're saying it by saying, okay, there was a problem in plumbing, instead of 150, they charge you 300. Instead of flooring, paint, whatever, everything they charge you, that's how they make the money. Do they have a choice? Do I blame them? Do I personally, they have no choice. They have to make sure everything working well and working the way it's supposed to be. The rule is like this: you go into up income property, most of the chances the tenant is going to be okay, the manager is going to be okay. You go into low income, most of the chances the tenant is going to be problematic because they're not going to pay or will pay or whatever, and then the management company will be a problem too. I just want to make it clear. Can you make money from a low income property? Yes, you can. I made a lot of money. Can you buy a house for $100,000 today? Yes. For $200,000 today? Yes. Let's finish this subject. If you want stable rent money, you can do it. Just be smart. Subject. We spoke about management companies. Management companies, as we said, it's very complicated. There's many good ones. There's many that just want to survive. They cannot survive on 10% if they make $100,000. 10% is 10,000. They have 2 employees, 4 employees, 7 employees. It's not going to make it. So they have to find a way to make money. So you remember that. We already spoke about locations. We spoke about how much to spend. We spoke about the rent thing. There's something more important than everything, the construction part. Because if you buy a house, you always have to do construction, even if you want to do it for rent or you want to do it for flip. I didn't speak about a flip yet. for general. Now I'm gonna give you the rules how you look at the fucking house. Any house you wanna, this is a very, very, very basic and important rule in real estate. Nobody's gonna say it, nobody's gonna tell you that. You're gonna lose a lot of money, you're gonna make a lot of money because you're lucky. This is very important what I'm saying right now. You wanna get, even if it's to rent or for flip or just for investment. That's what $1 million, that's what 200,000, doesn't matter. The rules, the same rules. If you go to the house, you see, you're not a contractor, you're nobody. You're just a teacher, you're a policeman, whatever. But you want to invest in the house. You want to invest $1 million. You want to invest 100,000. What do? Until today, and I'm going to give you rules and secrets that most people, brokers, don't want to talk about. Okay. Contractor, you go to the house. I'm going to talk as a contractor. Somebody who was a contractor for many years. You go to the house. You look at the house. What needs to be done? You go downstairs in the basement and you look at stuff. Okay. Let me tell you few points, very important points that can make the difference between win or lose. And it doesn't matter if you want to be a guy who gets rent from the house or you want to be a flip. When you want to buy a house, you want to look at the house. That's fine. I call it, when you look at the house, either cosmetic job or hardcore job in every house. It's like a car. Do you want just to cosmetic like paint, leather, or chairs or stuff like that? Cosmetic job. Or you want to do hardcore. When it comes to cosmetic, it's easy. When I call cosmetic, I call it paint, floor, roof. That's cosmetic. The hardcore jobs in every house, it doesn't matter if the house worth $200,000 or the house worth $1 million to $2 million. You want to go to the basement. You want to look at the foundation and how it looks under the house. In every house, it's pretty much what you see, it's what you get. Paint, you know how much it's going to cost. A house can cost in paint. A small house can cost $4,000, $5,000. A big house can cost $12,000 or whatever. Roof can cost you between $5,000 to $25,000. It's fine. When you're talking about the hardcore of the house, the machine, the energy, this is the house. Down there in the basement. Over there you can see everything. You can see the electric, you can see the heater, you can see the foundation, you can see everything. This is the secret of the house. Just look. Not get help. Take a contractor, give him $500, $700. You don't need more than that. Tell him, I want you to see. This can make you a big difference between winning or losing. When it's come to cosmetic, okay, paint will cost you, like I said, a house can cost you between $3,000 to $12,000. A floor can cost you also between $4,000 to $12,000. Fine. Roof, whatever. This is cosmetic stuff. This is fine. This is always you can deal with. It's easy to do. It's not a big job. Money, always. If the hardcore of the house is fucked up, hardcore of the house, when I'm saying that, it's the machine of the house, it's the motor of the house. This is the electric, plumbing, the system, and the foundation. The system of the house is down there, always in the basement. It's always going to be in the basement. This is where the secrets are. Cosmetic, it's always going to be whatever. It's going to cost you money. It's fine. Cosmetic, I call it cosmetic. Cosmetic job. It's fine. Paint is cosmetic. Floor is cosmetic. Change the granite of the kitchen is cosmetic. Changing the cabinets is cosmetic. It's cosmetic. It's going to cost you whatever. You can make the math. You can ask country. Where you can be really bad and really get screwed, it's in the house. The heart is in the basement. The heart of the house is including the plumbing, because you can see the plumbing. This is a secret. See the plumbing. When you go to the bathroom of a house, you don't see the plumbing, you just see the outside. You see the faucet, you just see the outside. It's cosmetic. You want to see the plumbing, the condition of the plumbing of the house? Go to the basement. The real electric situation of the house, how much voltage it has, what's the power of the house, and all those things, go to the basement. Everything is open over there. The house is cold or hot in the winter, in the summer, whatever, go to the basement. House can be, it has good foundation, go to the basement. When it comes to construction, doesn't matter if you want to buy the house for rent or you want to buy it for flip. There's two parts when it comes to construction of the house. There's the cosmetic part, which you can see in the outside, like like paint, like flooring, like roof, those kind of things, which is always you can evaluate and you can see, you can estimate how much it's going to cost you, which is fine. You do the estimation, you do the calculation, you go for it or don't go for it, whatever. I'm afraid of, this is after many, many years and many experience, a long time of experience with houses and years and everything. My was problem, and I always was the issue when we come to the hard code of the house. The hard code is the motor of the house. It's the heart of the house. Where is it located? Where is it? Put it in your fucking head. Where is the most important thing in the house? Close my fucking course. Go home. Go to sleep. Talk to me tomorrow. Because you can see over there everything. You can see air conditioning and you can see the foundation. There's a problem in those things, in the plumbing, electric, if you see a real problem. We're going to get to it. What's the big problem? The real problem is real problem. You have to change the plumbing. You have to change the electric. You have to change the foundation. Anything of what I said in the real hard core of the house, don't get into it. Just do not get into it at all. If you see a problem with the fucking foundation, don't do it. Even if they give you the fucking house for free, don't do it. If you see a real problem with the plumbing, okay, what's the real problem? It's a question. But if you see a real problem with the plumbing, you can see it with your eyes. A real problem, don't do it. You see a real problem with the electric, don't do it. It's going to cost you a fortune. You know how to get in, you don't know how to get out. You can get in with the investment, you don't know how to, don't do it. Paint, it's easy. Granite, it's easy. Cabinets, it's easy. Flooring, it's easy. Roof, it's easy. When it's come to plumbing, electric, and heating system, cold system, AC, and the foundation of the house. If you have an issue with that, you can see it in your eyes. Somebody really professional with you that tell you, listen, it's not a big deal, there's problems you can fix for $400. But I'm telling you, if there's a real problem, you're going to lose money. You're going to lose a lot of money. I'll give you an example. You can buy a house for a good price. I'll give you an example. Let's say the market price is $500,000. Okay, fine, for a house. You buy the house. Let's say the market price in this area, you decide to go to New Jersey, very nice place, $500,000. Fine, it's a good area, everything cool. You want to rent it, fine. You want to rent. See, there's a problem in plumbing. I'm just giving an example of something that happened to me many times. You go down there, the price is good. The market is $500,000. You can buy it for $400,000. It's a good deal. The house worth $500. You buy it for $400. So you're thinking to yourself, fine. I'm gonna put $20,000, $30,000 to paint it, clean it, whatever. I'm still making money. I'm in the safe side to make money on the house. But you didn't look at the fucking basement. Look at the fucking basement. And then you go there, you see the plumbing, it's a problem. And the electric is a problem. And the foundation is a problem. So let's say the house in that area worth 500,000, right? You bought it for 400. You think you're safe because it's 100,000 safe, right? Let me tell you something, guys. Boys and girls, men and women, listen. Easily, you can go to the basement and you have to fix this motherfucker shit. When I'm saying fix, I'm talking plumbing and electric and foundation. Easily fixing something like that. Foundation especially is so expensive. You have to get the engineer and who knows what and permission from the city and all this shit. And electric, easily you can pay another 200,000 just to fix plumbing, to renew the plumbing in the house. Doesn't matter how big it is. Doesn't matter if it's 1,000 square feet, 2,000. It's almost the same. It's not a big deal. For the plumbing, electric, to change the electric in a fucking house, it's a lot of money. And if you have to do foundation work, you're gonna be fucked. Which means, okay, you pay 400,000 for a house that's worth 500,000. That's fine. But remember, if you have to deal with the real shit of the house for some reason, whatever, because the plumbing is not good, the electric's not good, and the foundation is not good, easily you can get to 150, 200,000. Then how much you already paid? Almost 600,000. How can you make money on this? Always remember, it's a big difference between construction that's cosmetic to the house than construction that it's just construction cosmetic. Nice, it's comfortable, no problem. You can always adjust, you can always know what the price, you can always estimate the right price. But when you come to real stuff in the house, that you have to change all the plumbing, that you have to change all the electric or foundation, don't do it. Don't do it unless you really know what you're doing. Unless you're a contractor or something like that. If you're not a contractor, don't do it. Even me today, this is one of the rules I have. I'm willing to buy any house that has to do with cosmetic stuff. Like I said, cosmetic is paint, floor, cabinets, granite, or whatever, stuff like that. Light, roof, fine. Because I know how much it costs. There's not so much things that can happen. But when you talk about the hardcore of the house, like foundation, plumbing, electric, and you can see it inside the basement, when I see a problem like that, I'm saying I cannot do it. We spoke about last time, last few chapters, we spoke about the to invest for income, study income, or I want to do a flip. It's two different investments. You cannot do the same, it's not the same properties, it's not the same idea. Today I want to go a little bit more into details about that. House, if I want to rent a house to get a study income, what I'm looking for, I'm trying to get the most I can get for my money. So let's say if I have $1 million, right? Right now to invest. Doesn't matter if it's mortgage or if I take finance or I have cash, doesn't matter right now. We're not going to speak about it right now. On my money, if it's 3% a year, or if I'm getting 10% a year, or if I'm getting back 20%. Let me explain what I'm talking about, okay? So if I decided that I want a stable income, I just want to rent the house, I don't want to flip it, I don't want to sell it, I just want to invest $1 million in a house, and I want to get my money back. I want to get return for the money, I mean. Let's say 3-4% $1 million, and you're getting back about $30,000. It's not a lot. I mean, you can put the money in the bank. Most likely, if you put money in the bank, $1 million, you're gonna get $30,000 back or $20,000 back. And there's other options also to do if you want, if this is the money you're looking for. If you're looking for 7%, 8%, 10%, it's possible to do in real estate. Actually, a lot of real estate does more than 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% a year, 3% a year. There's many comfortable ways to do it if you have $1 million. You can go to the bank, they're gonna give you some interest. You can go to other investment companies, other bonds, stock market, whatever that can make you that kind of money. When we want as investors return on the money, we want the most we can get. Okay. Now, usually the way it works, I'm saying usually, generally. I'm talking about generally. This is something everybody knows. The more expensive the property will be, the less return on the money we'll get. Okay? So I'll give you an example. There's many places in the US right now you can buy a house for $200,000 cash or whatever. And usually you'll get more return for the money, for the $200,000, compared to the $1 million investment. Rule, nobody likes to talk about it, but what I'm trying to say, remember, I'm talking about private houses right now. I'm not talking about buildings, I'm not talking about hotels, I'm not talking about store commercial, I'm talking about private houses. Usually what's going to happen is if I put $1 million in a house in LA, in Los Angeles, my return is going to be about 3 to 6%. That's about that. And usually, if I invest $200,000 in a house, my return a month will be about 10%. So usually, I'm talking about generally speaking, this is a rule. The more expensive the house is, the less return on investment you'll get in terms of percentage. Okay? So if on $1 million house, for example, in LA, I can get $7,000. I'm giving you an example. That's the numbers I'm talking about. $1 million, you're gonna get about $7,000 every month for rent. 7,000 times 10, it's 70. Times 12, it's $84,000 a month. Okay, so $84,000 for investment that you put $1 million. It's about 8.4%. Now, from that, you have to deduct all the expenses you have. So from 8.4%, $84,000, you have to deduct the money. You have to deduct the money for other expenses. So you're going to get about total net about $60,000. I'm just giving you a general idea so you understand what I'm talking about when it's come to real estate. Okay, so what I was saying is this. I'm trying to get to a point. So people like you, like normal people that never did this before, will understand the idea of investing. Usually, if you'll invest $1 million house in Los Angeles, I'm giving an example. Okay, you put $1 million for the house with finance or cash or whatever, right? You're gonna get about $6,000-7,000 a month for rent, which is fine. If I'm gonna get $7,000 for a house that cost me $1 million, how much is it a year? I'm gonna get $84,000 back return. From the $84,000, you should deduct all kind of expenses. And you're gonna be about $6,000 a year for $1 million. $60,000 a year for $1 million. It's about 6%. Easy. $1 million, 6%. Fine. This is what happened in expensive house. Not expensive, like high value, properties and areas. Fine. If I'm gonna go to places like Miami, some places in Miami, some places in Michigan, whatever, I'm gonna spend $200,000 for a house. Usually, I'm gonna get for $200,000 house in Michigan. I'm just giving an example, right? Or $200,000 in Michigan, you're gonna get about $2,000. Okay, $2,000 times 12, it's $24,000. Okay, which means in a different words, if I'm gonna buy 5 houses, I'm gonna get 5 houses. It's gonna cost me $1 million for 200,000 each house.
That line one more time, please.
For each house, it's cost 200 times 5. It's $1 million, and my return is gonna be on each house about $24,000 a year. $24,000 a year. It's in the end of the year, it's $96,000. I'm coming back to the point I'm trying to say. If I'm gonna put $1 million in Los Angeles for a house in Orange County, for example, and I'm gonna get returned 6%, okay, on my money, that's usually it's gonna be around that in Orange County. If I'm gonna go, because we're gonna get $60,000 a year and I put $1 million, that's fine. In Orange County, we're gonna make about 6% back a year. Return on investment. It's called return on investment for the property. 6% is 60,000 about. If I'm gonna go to a lower end houses, which every house is about 200,000, I'm gonna put $1 million, which means I bought 5 houses, each house for 200,000. It means I paid $1 million for 5 houses, invest for income, study income, or I want to do a flip. It's 2 different investments. You cannot do the same. It's not the same properties. It's not the same idea. Today I want to go a little bit more into details about that. If I want to rent a house to get a study income, what I'm looking for, I'm trying to get the most I can get for my money. So let's say if I have $1 million, right now to invest, doesn't matter if it's mortgage or if I take finance or I have cash, doesn't matter right now. We're not going to speak about it right now. Back return on my money, if it's 3% a year, or if I'm getting 10% a year, or if I'm getting back 20%. Let me explain what I'm talking about, okay? So if I decided that I want a stable income, I just want to rent the house, I don't want to flip it, I don't want to sell it, I just want to invest $1 million in a house, and I want to get my money back. I want to get return for the money, I mean. Let's say 3-4% a year, $1 million, and you're getting back about $30,000. It's not a lot. I mean, you can put the money in the bank. Most likely, if you put money in the bank, $1 million, you're gonna get $30,000 back or $20,000 back. And there's other options also to do if you want. If this is the money you're looking for. If you're looking for 7%, 8%, 10%, it's possible to do in real estate. Actually, a lot of real estate does more than 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% a year, 3% a year. There's many comfortable ways to do it if you have $1 million. You can go to the bank, they're gonna give you some interest. You can go to other investment companies, other bonds, stock market, whatever, that can make you that kind of money. When we want as investors return on the money, we want the most we can get, okay? Now, usually the way it works, I'm saying usually, generally, I'm talking about generally, this is something everybody knows. The more expensive the property will be, the less return on the money we'll get, okay? So I'll give you an example. There's many places in the US right now you can buy a house for $200,000 cash or whatever, and usually you'll get more return for the money for the $200,000 compared to the $1 million investment. This is a rule, nobody likes to talk about it, but what I'm trying to say, remember, I'm talking about private houses right now. I'm not talking about buildings, I'm not talking about hotels, I'm not talking about store commercial, I'm talking about private houses. Usually what's going to happen is if I put $1 million in a house in LA, in Los Angeles, my return is going to be about 3 to 6%. That's about that. And usually, if I invest $200,000 in a house, my return a month will be about 10%. So usually, I'm talking about generally speaking, this is a rule. The more expensive the house is, the less return on investment you'll get in terms of percentage. Okay? So if on $1 million house, for example, in LA, I can get $7,000, I'm giving you an example. That's the numbers I'm talking about. $1 million, you're gonna get about $7,000 every month for rent. 7,000 times 10, it's 70. Times 12, it's $84,000 a month. Okay, so $84,000 for investment that you put $1 million. It's about 8.4%. Now, from that, you have to deduct all the expenses you have. So from 8.4%, $84,000, you have to deduct the money. You have to deduct the money for other expenses. So you're going to get about total net about $60,000. I'm just giving you a general idea so you understand what I'm talking about when it's come to real estate. Okay, so what I was saying is this. I'm trying to get to a point. So people like you, like normal people that never did this before, will understand the idea of investing. Usually, if you'll invest $1 million house in Los Angeles, I'm giving an example. Okay, you put $1 million for the house with finance or cash or whatever, right? You're gonna get about $7,000 a month for rent, which is fine. If I'm gonna get $7,000 for a house that cost me $1 million, how much is it a year? I'm gonna get $84,000 back return. From the $84,000, you should deduct all kind of expenses. And you're gonna be about $6,000 a year for $1 million. $60,000 a year for $1 million. It's about 6%. Easy. $1 million, 6%. Fine. This is what happened in expensive house. Not expensive, like high value, properties and areas. Fine. If I'm gonna go to places like Miami, some places in Miami, some places in Michigan, whatever, I'm gonna spend $200,000 for a house. Usually, I'm gonna get for $200,000 house in Michigan. I'm just giving an example, right? Or $200,000 in Michigan, you're gonna get about $2,000. Okay, $2,000 times 12, it's $24,000. Okay, which means in a different words, if I'm gonna buy 5 houses, I'm gonna get 5 houses. It's gonna cost me $1 million for $200,000 each house.
That line one more time, please.
For each house, it's cost 200 times 5. It's $1 million, and my return is gonna be on each house about $24,000 a year. $24,000 a year. It's in the end of the year, it's $96,000. So here I put in Los Angeles, I did put $1 million, and I put in Michigan $1 million. The math gonna say in Orange County we're gonna make about 6% back a year. Return on investment. It's called return on investment for the property. 6% is 60,000 about. If I'm gonna go to a lower end houses, which every house is about 200,000, I'm gonna put $1 million, which means I bought 5 houses, each house for 200,000. It means I paid $1 million for 5 houses. Speak about it, a very important subject. Most of brokers, finance people who does real estate will not tell you that, okay? Now, I'm talking about about private homes. I'm not talking about buildings, I'm not talking about hotels, I'm not talking about commercial, I'm talking about private homes. And I want you guys to really listen carefully this subject, okay? If I'm gonna put This is the point I'm trying to say. If I'm going to put $1 million in one private home, usually I'm going to get lower percent than if I'm going to put my money in a low value, low house price house. In Orange County, for example, I don't know if there's the prices right now it's like that, but whatever. It used to be you can buy a house in Orange County, California, for $1 million. You're probably usually gonna make about 5-6% a year for $1 million, which means you're gonna get rent about low cost homes somewhere else, like Arizona, Phoenix, or Michigan. I can buy, let's say, 5 houses. Usually, the return on the house, on the return on investment, will be much higher. Which means, if I'm going to put $1 million in Orange County, I'm going to get about 5% a year back, or 6%, the most, maybe 7% if I'm lucky. If I'm going to go to a lower income, lower value house, low cost house, it's going to be about, I can get even $90,000 back, $10,000 back. Now, what I'm telling you is, I'm talking about general rule. It's always like that. If I invest more money in the house, my income monthly and yearly, it's going to be lower. If I'm going to invest in a low income house, low value house, I mean, usually the return on the investment will be higher. Okay? So always remember that. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not saying this is better or this is better. There's good things about expensive house and there's good thing about cheap house. And I'm going to talk about right now. The good thing about expensive house usually is the tenant's gonna be able to pay the house. They're not gonna break the house. They're not gonna destroy the house in the end of the rent agreement. The value of the house can go really high in the time that you own it, which means I can buy the house today in $1 million in the price of $1 million, and 3 years from now, the same house will worth $1,000,000 and $300,000. So I made, beside the rent, I made another $300,000. When we're talking about the low income house, it's different. It's not gonna go so high. And also another thing is very important. When you're talking about one house, the headache you have, one expensive house, like $1 million house, the expensive and the headache you have is different. When you have 5 houses for $1 million, it's going to be different because it's 5 people, 5 tenants, and you're probably going to have some kind of problems all the time to deal with. So yes, in the end of the day, when it's coming to in the paperwork, the rent is going to be more for a low income, low cheap house, more than $1 million house. But everybody has to think what they want to do. Some people just want to be safe and invest in a good neighborhood, good area, and stuff like that, and to be sleep good at night. And some people, they have no problem to work. They have no problem to have 20 houses in a cheap area house. They're probably going to get more return on their investment, but it's a lot more work because one house compared to 5 houses, totally different story. Totally different story. And remember, what I'm telling you right now, guys, it's not stories. It's things I've been involved in. I did it, I had it. I had more than 20, 30, 40 houses under my companies. So you have to understand. And I used to deal actually mostly with the low, cheap prices of houses, which means it was between, I'm talking about the prices after 2008. It's usually the prices I was dealing with houses, it was about between $50,000 house to 150,000. So this is my specialty. But the difference between buying one expensive house than buying for rent. I'm talking about for rent, than buying many cheap houses. Big different. Another story. Each one of them is a different thing. Okay. I want to speak about flipping houses. Okay. Different story. Because in flipping houses, what you want to do, how you flip house, there's many opportunities. This is what's the reason I love real estate. This is the reason I did real estate almost all my life. Doesn't matter if it's finance or I have it cash, doesn't matter. I want to invest $1 million, okay? For this $1 million, I want to make $1.5 million. Is it possible? Yes, it's possible. So how do you do that? So I'm just giving you general rules. Everybody can take it to their own life, to their own space. It could be in the US, you can take it to Europe or other countries. But the ideas, it's about the same. If I want to invest $1 million and make $500,000 in a period of time, we'll talk about time, how long it's going to take. But this is what you have to think about before you do it. First of all, you have to look at the prices of the houses around where you want to buy. Okay, so let's say I want to invest $1 million. I'm gonna look. So what I'm looking for is this. I'm looking that I know in that area. How do I know? I'll tell you exactly in a minute. What I want to do is I want to buy a house. I want to invest $1 million. I'm gonna buy a house that cost me about $700,000, $800,000. Invest in construction, develop an improvement for the house, $200,000. So I'm gonna be in $1 million investment. Okay, $800,000 plus $200,000 is $1 million. But I need to know before I do it that in the same area, the same house, after the construction and the improvement I did to the house, can be sold for at least $1,400,000, $1,500,000. So what you want to do is, you want to find an opportunity, which means, when you want to do a flip, I'm just giving you an example about $1 million house, but it can be any other price. It's all about the same idea. You're looking at the prices around the area. Okay? You want to see that there is houses that sold for that amount, for $1.5 million, $1,400,000. This is the price you want to see. Fine. Now what you want to do, you want to buy a house that somebody, for some reason, want to sell for $700,000. Now, people can sell a house for $700,000, even that in the neighborhood will sold for $1.5 million for many reasons. Main reason is people don't want to do construction. Construction is a big deal. It's a big job usually. Okay. You can buy a house for $700,000. Put $200,000 in the investment of the house. Make it look beautiful, and you're going to be able to sell it for $1.5 million. But this need to be a lot of research, and you have to look in specific areas to make it happen. Okay, I just gave an example. I'll give you another example. Happened to me in 2014, I think. Crazy story, by the way. They got the house for $50,000. 2014. He kept it for 3 years. He got the rent and whatever. Fine. For all those years, everything good. Now he wants to sell it. He comes to me and says, I want to sell it. I said, okay, fine. I told him you have two options to sell it. One option is, you put $50,000 already, the investment for the house. It was a cheap house in Michigan. I said, one option is you give me $15,000. I'll do the construction for you. We're going to be able to sell it for $80,000, $90,000. This is one option. The second option we have, give me $30,000 and we can do a construction and improvement to the house. You're going to be able to sell it for $150,000. The guy asked me, how do I know? I said, I made my research. I know if I do this kind of construction for 15,000, this is how much it's gonna worth. If I do for 30,000 construction, the same house, I'm gonna be able to sell it almost double. Instead of 80, 90,000, I will be able to sell it for 150. In the end, what happened is this. He only invest 50,000 for the house. What he did in the end of the story, he gave me 15,000. I did my construction. I sold it for him for about 90,000, which means he made money. Okay, the house was worth. He bought it for 50. I put 15,000 for the construction. We sold for 90. You know what happened? Somebody bought it for 90. He put another 10 or 15,000 in the construction. A month after, he sold the same house for $188,000. Which means my guy lost like $70,000 on a house. So those things, when we come to flip, we want to flip a house, all those things are possible. And we can talk about it more in the next chapters and next. It is possible to find a house for a specific price, do some construction to the house, and flip it. Okay. I did many times, maybe more than 100 times, 50, maybe 150 times. Sometimes you're gonna make a lot of money, sometimes you can lose, but if you do it right, you're gonna make money. Most important, when we come to deal with a house, it doesn't matter if you want to rent the house or we want to flip the house. We spoke about both. We spoke about many points, important points. You have to do construction either way. Even if you just want to rent the house, usually you're gonna have to do some kind of construction like painting or simple stuff. Sometimes you have to do more. It depends what you do. Usually the job is gonna be more expensive. Okay, usually that's the different rent. It's gonna be like you don't want to invest too much for the construction. Usually for the flip you want to invest much more. Something very, very important for how to deal with the construction job. Stories about people losing money with contractors, which mean they want to do a job, they have a budget of $10,000, in the end of the job it's going to cost them $20,000. Many things like that. So I just want to talk about right now in the next few minutes about how to deal with a contractor, and I'm giving you a secret that if you use it, you're going to be good to go. Construction in the house. There's a way to do it. And there's a way not to do it. Okay? Many people, most of the people I know, I spoke to, they always told me, oh, I want to invest just 10,000, in the end the contractor did this, he ran away, he didn't do the job, I had to pay 20,000, my budget was 10. Basically, you got fucked, okay? Sorry for the language, but it is what it is. Most of the people I talk to, we talk about regular people, not the, contractor or business people. Most of the time, they want to invest some kind of budget, and then they went to a different direction because they didn't have a choice. And this is a bad thing, because if you don't know what your investment is going to be in the end, you're going to the wrong direction. You really want to know how much a job will cost you at the end of the day. It's really, really important. In a house, I want to flip a house, right? I want to invest $1 million in the house, and I bought it for 700, and it cost me more than 300,000. I'm gonna lose money. You really have to be in the budget. If the construction will cost you more than you think after you make all the calculation we spoke about, that's a lost deal, and I lost many times like that. The way to do a contractor is this. You come to him, just be simple. Don't be complicated. Don't be an asshole. Just be simple and be personal with the guy. Tell him, listen, this is what I want to do. I want to do the kitchen. I want to do the roof. I want to do the floor. This is one. Be very specific. This is one. What I want. You tell him, listen, give me the price. Fine, he gives you the price. Sure about the price? You sure about the price? Because I'm not paying you a penny more. You want to make sure not to get out of budget. If you're getting out of budget, most likely you're going to lose money. On the flip, most likely you're going to lose money on your investment. You're going to tell them exactly what you want in a simple way. I want this kitchen. This is what I want. Show them the picture of the kitchen and like show them the floor, whatever it is. Be specific. Don't make it complicated. How long is going to take him to do it? You want to know if you're paying for the material or he's paying for the material. Usually in many things like kitchen and stuff like that, you have to pay for the material. In bathrooms, when you do a remodeling for bathrooms, you pay for the material. That's fine. Make the calculation about the construction, about everything. If is that, for example, if you want to make a new kitchen, that's fine. For example, if you want to make a new kitchen, that's fine. Make the calculation. How much the granite? How much the floor? How much the cabinets? How much the electric, the plumbing, the new refrigerator, the new faucet, and all those things. Make the calculation and talk to the contractor. Very simple. But the trick is to deal with a contractor. And he's not going to change the price. The simple way is to make a new kitchen in my house, right? I found a nice contractor. I looked it up. He has a good reputation, whatever, everything is fine. He gave me a good price. He wants for the new kitchen $40,000. Do payments doing the job, okay? If you're gonna give him the whole $40,000 in the beginning, it's possible he's gonna change the price after that. He's gonna tell you all kind of stories why it's not only $40,000. What you want to do is this, and listen carefully. It's very important. This is the key to make money or lose money. What I'm saying right now. What you want to do is, for example, the job is $40,000. You tell him, listen, I'm giving you $2,000 right now. You demolish the kitchen. I'm giving you another $2,000. You're doing all the plumbing, all the electric. I'm gonna give you another $2,000. Keep the money with you. Paying the most of the money after we really finished. He looked at it, and after you have all the sign and everything, after you finish the kitchen, if you can make sure you still owe him 30-40% from the budget, I promise you, guaranteed, that you are safe. Because no contractor will try to change prices or to run away when you owe him 30-40% in the end of the job. You have to be very smart about that. The more you owe him money, and the more job he did, is better for you. You're gonna pay him, for example, you're gonna leave all the way back in the end 10% that you owe him. So let's say the job is $40,000 and you owe him $4,000. Yeah, of course he's gonna try to do something to get more. He's gonna tell you, most likely he's gonna tell you, listen, we had trouble here, we had trouble with plumbing, it's gonna cost you another $10,000 here, whatever. What you want to do is you want to make sure you make him work, and you keep yourself the money until you really finish and until you're really satisfied. And that's very important. That's what makes the difference between being success in the contracting and the construction, or being sometimes losing money, sometimes scamming you, sometimes they run away. All kind of stuff can happen. You want to hold the money tight to you, let them work. Be fair with them. Don't try to, this is always I say to people, don't try to rip off, this is not an important thing. Don't try to be cheap on the contractor. Let them make money. It's fine. It's fine. You don't look, it's very important also, another point I was thinking about right now. It's very important you don't look for the cheapest contractor. You don't. It's okay to pay the contractor a full price and profitable price that's going to be happy. He has to be happy. But in another end, you keep the payments for yourself, which means if you can make sure, I just gave an example about the kitchen, that he make the kitchen, you give him a payments. Okay, it's fine to give him some payments. 2,000, 10,000 there, 20,000 after you finish the cabinets and the granite and everything. And you still keep on for yourself another 40%, 30% from the whole budget, you're gonna be safe. Because it's not gonna run away, it's not gonna make a trouble for you. Remember, if he has the money, because you paid him on front or whatever the reason, he has more power to fuck with you. This is a street advice for a contract. I was many years contractor, I was many years in construction. You do not want to give money on front. It's very important. Maybe the secret of how to deal with contractors. Because I hear so many stories. Even myself I had many stories. I thought it's gonna cost me 30 and then it cost me 40. No. So the first thing I do, I go to the contractor, I say, listen, give me the bottom line price, you can do it. That's fine. Make some money, that's fine. But we're gonna do the payment the way I want it. The way I want it. The way I want it is, I want to see that everything is the way I want it. The kitchen is completely satisfied to me, and then I'll give them the money right away. In America, usually it goes with the house, which means if there's taxes, this is why the landlord paid the taxes of the house. Another thing important, the water, also the same thing. The water usually go with the house. Unless when you rent it, you change the name. The electric will go with the one who lives there. Which means if there's tenant there, it's always going to go with the name under that account for the electric. So there's big difference between taxes and water in many states in the US than the electric. Electric usually you don't have to worry about, because if it's not under your name as the owner of the house, you have no problem. But the taxes, it's going with the house. It goes with the house. The water, the same thing. Very important, when you go to a title company, first of all, let me know this. You can do all the paperwork of the title yourself. Like, you can do it yourself, basically. You have to know what you're doing. You have to make sure there's no taxes on the house when you buy it. You have to make sure there's no bills on the house. You want to make sure there's no liens on the house. You can do it privately. This is one of the jobs of the title company to do. There's no liens on the house. There's no other. I'm happy. I want to flip it or rent it. Doesn't matter. Fine. You want to make sure, and this is the job of the title company, that there's no liens on the house, no debt on the house. There's no electric bills, water bills, or whatever. Every state is different. You can do it yourself. I'm telling you right now, you can do this job yourself. You go to the CD and you can find out if there's liens, if there's debt on the house, and stuff like that. But the job usually, and it's better for everybody, for the buyer and the seller, that the title company does it. Okay? Can you do it yourself? Yes. There's a way to do it yourself. I did it many times myself. Was very important and very successful and important and good. But the right way to do it with the title company. Now, title companies, this is what I wanted to talk about title companies. Title companies are very secure, they're very responsible, of course, you can trust them, everything is good. But remember, they can make mistakes, especially if you go for the low price houses. They can make mistakes on the names, they can make mistakes. Usually, a lot of times they make mistakes. I had a lot of experience with that. They made mistakes with the houses that was inherited and stuff like that. So for example, if I bought a house from a weirdo that had a wife, and she passed away, and he sell it to me, many times the house still on her name. And then I get it, he sign it, and then I want to sell it, they're like, hey, you're missing a sign because the wife of the last owner was not there because she died. So remember, also when you go to the title company, you want to make sure to see at the end of the day that the house will be only on your name. Don't think you paid $1,000 or $1,500 or $3,000 for their job. You can make sure you're 100% secure. Like I said many times, and I'm giving you something that will save you a lot of money, not because they do it on purpose, because sometimes the title company didn't do all the investigation that they really have to do. So when you go to the title company, which their job is basically to make sure there's no taxes, the house is clean, there's no debt, there's no liens, there's no water, bills, everything is clean when it comes to the legal things. Yes, they're always going to tell you everything is good, you can go and whatever. But I'm telling you, from my experience, that sometimes they're making mistakes. Sometimes I bought a house with a title company and I still had other names on the house. There's many reasons for it. I don't want to go into it. Many times there was a partner in the house, he didn't sign. Many times it was a wife that passed away or divorced and still her name on the title. So you're going to get the title with her name and then you're going to have a problem to sell it. So remember, and this is a very big thing, remember, even when you go to a title company or you do it yourself, don't matter, you're still going to have problems with names and the signatures. And I had it many times in Michigan, in Las Vegas, in New Jersey. I had it many times, things that I had to fix the title company. So remember that, it's very important. Otherwise, it's more job, it's going to make your life difficult and stuff like that. So it's important for me to tell you guys. Okay, so guys, so after we spoke about all the subject that has to do with the houses, yes, I can speak about each subject much more. I can talk hours about title companies, I can talk hours about constructions, I can talk hours about is what better, investment to rent or investment to flip. I can talk about commercial. I didn't even talk about commercial. I want to talk about it. Commercial is a different story. I don't even want to talk about it because it really depends on the situation of the plaza or the place you want to do. Commercial is a different story all the way. I'm not recommending to people to do commercial at all. I don't like it. You really have to know what you're doing. You really have to know the area. It's a different story when it comes to commercial property. That's why I don't want to talk about it too much. The main things we spoke about is the private houses. I'm going to speak to you real quick about about buildings. Buildings is the same. Buildings is to buy a building for investment. It's possible. I know people became millionaire from that. Me personally, I didn't do a lot of buildings. I didn't buy a lot of buildings in my life. The reason is because it can be very complicated in the end. When you come to a private house, you can really know, and this is the reason of the course, and it's called $1 million course. The reason is my profession and my experience was with private houses, not with buildings, not with commercial. Commercial, it's a different story. Usually, I can tell you this about commercial properties. You're gonna make less percentage than private homes, usually, but it's more static income. You don't have to deal with it. There's no problem with plumbing and stuff like that. That's about commercial. When it comes to buildings, let's say I'm talking about building with 10 apartments. Yes, a lot of times buildings can make you much more money than private home. You can get much bigger return on investment when it comes to buildings. But when you want to sell it, the value of buildings is going to be less than a value. If the area goes up, for example, let's talk about an area, I don't know, Brooklyn, New York, okay? Usually, private houses, the value will go much higher in terms of years than buildings. So when you buy a shitty ass building and you want to do construction, it's much more complicated to calculate it right. It's much more hard to make money on the value of the building because there's more people likely to buy a private home than a building. This is the reason. I'm just very important for me to say because I'm trying to say things that really can help you guys. This is one of the reasons that most of the things we spoke about, it's about private homes all over America, all over the world. It's plus minus the same idea. But when it comes to building, usually the return on investment every year is going to be more or higher because it's a building and you have 10 apartments in one space. But I'm saying it very clear and very loud. Most of the things we spoke about, it's about private homes. When it comes to buildings or commercial properties, it's different, hotels or whatever, it's a different story, it's a different course, okay? Important to speak about is about the finance. Okay, finance is a complicated thing because I am not a finance guy, I'm not a mortgage guy. Some properties I did with finance, a lot of them I did cash. Usually cash, you can get a better price, better deal if you just close the deal right there, right now, boom, 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 you're gonna make the deal. Usually with cash, you can get a big discount. Um, about finance, I don't want to talk about finance because finance, you should have a mortgage guy, a finance guy, that's his profession, make the calculation, which means, you take if you take $1 million loan, you have to make the calculation how much the return will be and compare it to each other, which means you don't want to take a loan that costs you 7% and make return 5%. That means you're losing 2% every year. I'm just talking about generally things about finance right now. If you buy a house for $1 million and you have to pay $70,000 a year for the mortgage company and you just get $50,000 a year, how much you're gonna have to? The gap is $2,000. I'm not sure it's a good idea at all. You talk to the mortgage company or mortgage agent and talk to them, and there's no problem to get finance in most of the properties. Remember this, usually in low income houses, it's going to take you more time to get the mortgage or the finance you want, okay? It also depends, of course, on your credit score. The better it is, the better you can get your mortgage. But finance is a different story. I'm not talking about finance from the bank. That's a different story. This is something you want to do with a mortgage company or somebody you really trust, or finance guy, to really make the calculation. In the end of the day, what you want to do is, first of all, okay, so this is something I want you to do, homework. Before you even talk to me, okay? Even if you decide that I'm going to be your mentor, your guide, your shadow, whatever you want, I want you to do this kind of homework. One, I want you to think about how much you want to invest, okay? For example, fine. How much finance you need? Fine. Then I want you to come to me and tell me, what do you want to do? You want to rent and get money for your investment, return for your investment, stable return to your investment, or you want to flip it. Two different deals, as we spoke about. After we do that, we're gonna see what place we want to do it. Some places it's not worth it to do it. So this is one of the things that I come in to really look at the numbers, really look at all the website, all the things that's going on in that area. And remember, always use the simple website like Zillow, Trulia, Realtor. All those websites are very good website to use for how much rent over there, how much the sales over there, how much the house worth, and all those things. I didn't spoke about this website too much because we don't have a lot of time, but and you can do it by yourself. You don't need me for that. But if you do decide to come to me and say, okay, listen, let's go forward, let's do something. I'm gonna ask you those questions. I'm gonna ask you about what's your money cash, how much mortgage or finance you want, and the areas you're thinking you want to do it. Sometimes I'm gonna say to you, listen, this is not a good area. You want to do it. Sometimes you can do in this area rent, but you cannot do flip. Sometimes you can do flip, but you cannot do rent. Everything is very complicated. It's a big puzzle to do. I'm just gave you, or try to give you the main points about everything to do with construction. I really hope that I gave you the tools to start and think about it. I know people who become millionaires from rent apartment. I know people who become. This is something that really has to do with us. It really has to do with what you do with it. I saw people who make millions. I saw people who make hundreds of thousands during the years. I saw people losing money, including myself. There is a lot of brokers that I'm giving you an example. Brokers that beautiful brokers and very honest brokers that are scammers. I saw a mortgage agency or people that they're problematic. I saw over the years everything. I saw management companies. We spoke about it too. I saw management companies that are problematic. They're just trying to rip you off, whatever. I saw all. So in the end of the day, it's really about doing those things, buying the house, being focused, look at the prices of the construction, get the right construction, get the right management company, get the right brokers. All those things are possible to do. I did it hundreds of times in my life. I love doing that. I love doing the construction part. I love taking a house that looks like shit and make it to a palace. I did it many times in Los Angeles, Michigan, Las Vegas, many houses. And this is the nice part to do, you know, to take a shitty house looking house and make it to a palace. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful feeling. It's a beautiful feeling to do it. It's like you're creating something from nothing. This is why I'm here. I mean, it's not it's something that for me is easy. For you guys, you just have to learn more the subject I talked about. Appreciate you guys listening to me and and really want to go somewhere. Me personally, I think like either you're gonna go this generation. I mean, either you're gonna go to the computer job or AI or whatever, and be an IT or stuff like that, or you can do real estate, or this other option that can be a doctor, lawyer, or whatever. But the possibilities and the possibilities are changing in this generation. Remember, always people have to have a place to sleep. Always have to people have to have a place to live. It's up to us to make it happen. After all these hours we've been together and we almost know each other. I don't know you yet, but probably I will know most of you guys for any reason. I think the success in this business is really us. I don't think this is not something. It's not luck. Many people, many of my customers, many of my clients that started with one house, after 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, they find themselves with 20 houses. I saw this. I saw people who came and they didn't have the patience and they lost money also. Everything can happen. You have to be smart. You have to go through the rules. And if you yet, just go back and listen to all the whole course from the beginning. I'm here to really be the mentor, the guide, the make it happen. You don't have to start with $1 million. Actually, you can start with $100,000. That's fine. But what we want to do, how we want to go forward. With $100,000 cash, you can make good deals. Long limitation. I saw people become. I have friends of mine or partners of mine that are worth $100 million right now, and they started with nothing. Do it. You know, Nike. Just do it. You can just me. You can do it with somebody else. That's fine. But remember all the points we spoke about. Go follow the rules. Make decisions. See what's good for you. What's good.